Hi everybody. I am back again with another new pattern. As you can see, today we're making cute little chickens. There's little feathers. They're just cute little chickens that, they're adorable. Let's get into how to make them so that you can have some of your own little cute little chickens running around. To begin with, you're going to need some tools. As you're going to start, as always with my patterns, with a 3.75mm crochet hook, which is the F5. You're going to want a pair of scissors that can cut your thread, a nice needle with a big ol' eye, and then I am right at the end of these skeins, so, excuse the mess. You're going to want a nice orangish yellow for the beak, and a red for, I used to know what their thing is. I'm going to call it a mohawk today. And a white. All of the yarn is 5mm, and you can go with whatever brand makes your heart happy. You're also going to want 2 safety eyes. They're 8mm each. And just a little bit of stuffing. You're not going to need very much, and this is just the standard polyfill stuffing. So, to begin, we're going to take our white yarn, pull out a nice length of it so that I can work with it, and we're going to start with a magic circle. I forgot to mention. This pattern comes in 2 separate parts that are sewn together. You have the head and you have the body. We're going to start with the body and we're going to proceed down, and then we're going to make the head and attach it. And they take me like 15 minutes to work up each. So we're going to start with a magic circle. To do a magic circle, you're going to take your 2 fingers on your non-dominant hand, you're going to lay the yarn over them, you're going to take your thumb, pinch that middle finger, take the yarn, wrap it around the 2 fingers, and cross it over so there's a cross. And then turn your fingers towards you so that you have 2 parallel lines. Guide the yarn through your other 2 fingers so that they can hold it in place for just a little bit of tension. Then take your crochet hook so that the hook is facing away from you. Slide it along those 2 fingers, under the first yarn, and then over the second, so that you can then grab that second yarn and pull it just barely to the other side of that first yarn, and give it a good twist. Just one twist over. And then we're going to grab the working yarn from between those 2 fingers, and pull it through just that once. Once it's here, we're going to take our hand, grab at the knot so it doesn't come undone as we slide it off those 2 fingers. And then I like to take an extra step here so that the magic circle pulls through just a little bit easier. And take where this loop is going through the magic circle, that tail, and slide it out so it's no longer wrapping around like that. And then when we tighten our magic circle later, it'll pull through a lot easier. So I'm going to keep it nice and big. And I'm going to set up so that I can work with it by taking my 2 central fingers on my hand and put them into the magic circle, and then collect it so that the tail and the magic circle are going both the same direction. And I can hold it with my thumb, and then I can tension with my forefinger the way I like to, which is just by kind of folding my finger in half over it. Now we're going to do single crochets around the magic circle. To do a single crochet around a magic circle, you're going to want to make sure you're grabbing both the tail and the circle every single time. You're going to start by taking your hook, going through the circle, going over the yarn, and pulling it through. So you have 2 loops on your hook now. Then you're going to go you're going to go under the yarn, grab it, and pull it through both of those loops. And that is 1 single crochet. We're going to do another 9 for a total of 10. So, through the magic circle, over the yarn, pull it through, under the yarn, pull it through both. So that's 2. Do another 8. Alright, once we have all of our 10 stitches, you're going to take your tail of your magic circle, and you're going to give it a nice pull. And if you're holding onto the center of the magic circle with your other hand, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do the magic. So you want to hold right on the outside of those single crochets, and it'll slide through very easily, or it should. We're going to give it a nice good tug so that that circle on the center is all the way closed. It might take a little bit of working. You might have to work at it for further runs, but for now we have our 10 stitches. And we're going to work in, starting with this first one, some increase stitches. So we're going to go through both of those outer loops, as you can see going around the circle. There's 2 loops around the entire outer rim. So we're going to go through 2, grab our yarn, pull it out, and do a single crochet, same as before. That's 1 single crochet. In our next stitch, we're going to do an increase. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in this next stitch, right here. 1, 2. And you're going to continue around the circle with that pattern of 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets until you reach the end, at which point you will have 15 stitches total. Alright, that is my 15. As you can see, we're making a nice good circle. And we're going to start working our way back down the body. So again, this is about where the chest is on our chickens, and we're going to proceed back. We're going to do 3 rounds of just 1 single crochet each, keeping our round size at 15. To make it a little bit easier, you can add in a stitch marker, just to say where the beginning of your round is. So I'm going to stick it in right there, just so that I know that whenever I come back over here, that's where my rounds are starting and stopping. So 3 rounds of 15. That is our 3 rounds of 15. At this point, we are going to start doing a decrease round. So there's a couple ways you can do a decrease. There is our first option where we're going to do a pattern of 1 stitch and then a decrease stitch. So 1 single crochet and then a decrease. So at this point, you could either skip a stitch and do a single crochet in that second for a decrease, or you can do a decrease by going into this stitch, pulling a loop through, and then instead of finishing out that single crochet, we're going to go into the next stitch as well and pull out another loop. So we have 3 loops now, and then pulling our loop, our yarn through all 3. That's what I prefer doing, but you can do either. There's not a huge difference between them. They get the same effect done. So we're going to do a series of 1 single crochet and then a decrease all the way around for 1 round. We now have a round size of 10, and we are going to do 1 single crochet in each of those 10 stitches around. So there's no decreasing in this next round. And that is my 10. I'm going to take this stitch marker out because I don't need it anymore. And I am going to now stuff this section of the body. So I'm going to pull out just a little bit more thread with my hook so that I can pull my hook out without having to worry about myself accidentally ripping some of these stitches out while I stuff. And I'm going to take my stuffing. Make sure you give it a little bit of a tug to pull it all apart so you don't have these weird clumps. It'll make your plushie a little bit softer. It's not a huge deal with such small plushies, but still, it's good practice. I'm just going to go ahead and stuff in 1 small piece at a time. Make sure it's extra, extra fluffy. At this point, it is now stuffed to my satisfaction. So I'm going to go into my next round here. And for the next round, we are going to do both our tail feathers. You can see our tail feathers here on this old one I've already made. And both our tail feathers, and we're going to do our final round of decreases. So to start, we are going to chain. To do a chain, we keep this 1 loop, and instead of going in here like to do for a single crochet, we're going to stay out, and we're going to just grab the yarn and pull it through that loop. So that's our first chain. We are going to do a total of 5 chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to do what's called a half double crochet. To do a half double crochet, we're going to start by knowing where we're going to go. So, looking at the chain, we have our series of 2 loops on this side, and then on the back side, we have a series of singular humps. We want to go into the singular humps, and we want to go into the hump that is 3 down. So we have our first hump here, second, third. This third one here, if I can get my camera to focus again, this third hump here, that is our target. To do the half double crochet, we're going to start by looping the yarn around our hook, but we're not grabbing it with the hook, we're looping it around. And then I like to put my finger on it just to keep it in place. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 into that back hump right there. And then we're going to go over the yarn and pull it through. At this point we have our 3 loops over. We have the loop that we started with, the one that we grabbed by wrapping the yarn around it, and then one there. And then we're going to take and loop the yarn through all 3 of those, like that. And that is 1 half double crochet. We're going to do another 2 in each of these back humps. So, loop it over, through the next back hump, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then grab the yarn and pull it through all 3. It's 2. And then this is our third. Just like that. Now, to go back to the body, we're going to do a slip stitch in that stitch that we originated this chain from. So right there. We're going to go through. We're going to send our hook through, grab the yarn, pull it through the body, and then also pull it through the loop we started from to make a slip stitch. And that'll just secure that tail nice and flat to the body where we want it. Then in the next 2 stitches, we're going to do a decrease. Same way we did before. And then we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half double crochet. Again, going into the third hump down. And then another. And then the last. And again, we're going to slip stitch to the body, same stitch that we started the chain from. Do another decrease, and then in the exact same way, we're going to make our final feather. Just like that. And that's our 3 feathers along the back end of our chicken. Now we're going to do another 3 decrease stitches. That's our third. And then from here, we are going to go ahead and cut our yarn so that we can tie this back hole closed. It looks a little wider than it normally would for any of my other patterns, if you've done any of my other patterns, but it is the same standard 5 stitches that I usually end with. It just looks bigger because of those tail feathers. We're going to take our needle now so that we can tie that hole closed. One of my biggest tips with needles is you're going to take the yarn, you're going to fold it in half between your thumb and forefinger so that the top loop is barely sticking out. So I have it folded in half so that that top bit is barely sticking out. And then you're going to take your needle so that the eye is open, and then you're just going to rub it back and forth, and it'll go nice and easily down over that loop, just like that, and then you can pull it through very easily. That is the easiest way I have found to thread a needle, regardless of what needle you're threading. If you're doing sewing, if you're using amigurumi, so much easier than anything else I've done. So, we are now going to go through and sew this hole closed. We want to make sure we don't accidentally tangle our feathers up in it. So I'm going to take my first stitch right on the outside of this feather. Oh, they say that and then I get the other feather that I'm not paying attention to. So we're going to pull them out. Okay, this side of this feather, pull it nice and tight. And then I'm not going to go over here because that'll loop this feather in. So I'm going to take this feather and I'm going to fold it flat against the body so that I can again skip over it and go into this stitch, making sure I'm staying on the whole side of the body with my next. And we're going to do the same thing all the way around until we have all the stitches. Alright, that is all 5 stitches, and at this point you should be able to just pull on your tail against the body and it'll close that hole right up. and then you can just tie it off. And send the tail of the yarn through the body. And I stuffed my body a little bit less than I wanted to, so I'm going to use the back of my needle to just sort of push the tail end to act as a little bit of extra stuffing into the body. Just like that. So we now have the body part of the chicken. Looks a little silly. It'll look a lot cuter when we add the head. So what we've done is made this body part. You can see where we've made the same thing there. And now we're going to make the head. To make it, we're going to start with a magic circle, same way we did before. Take the yarn, grab it, loop it over with that cross, parallel lines, under, over, barely through, twist, grab the yarn, pull it through, magic circle. Pull it off, tail. Accidentally didn't grab enough of this yarn. Alright, got all that. Now we're going to do 5 single crochets in this magic circle. So that's 1. So we got our 5, pull the magic circle tight, and we're going to do 2 single crochets per stitch on this one to make it increase up to 10 in this next round. Once we've got our 10, we're going to do another 2 rows that are all going to have only the 10 stitches each, so that is 1 single crochet per stitch for 2 rows of 10. Once we have our 2 rows of 10, what we're going to do is take our work and turn it over like that so that we can work backwards from the way we've come. We're going to do a single crochet, first not into the stitch that we've just come out of, but into the next stitch along. 1 single crochet there, and then the 2 in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, for a total of 3 that make a little flap coming down off the head. From there, we're going to go ahead and cut enough of this yarn off that we can then sew it onto the body. Pull it all the way through. Oh no, I've made them all fall down. We're going to make them stand up again. Before we attach the body, we're going to put the eyes in it. It's kind of important. So the eyes are going to go in line with the flap that's coming down. So you have that flap. It's coming down. The eyes are going to go up and in line with that flap. Go ahead and position them wherever looks kind of cute. It's kind of hard to tell from this, but if you look at the one that I've already done in this particular weight of yarn, you can see I positioned them about 2 stitches apart. Pretty similar to what I've done here. These might be a little bit closer together. Just go with your heart. I want to put these here, so I'm putting them here. And then I'm going to grab my washers, and if you use your thumbs, you can kind of push on the outside of the eyes to encourage the whole work to flip inside out enough that we can access the back stems to put our washers on. Now, if your washers don't feel secure enough, or if they're not going on properly, you can try putting them on the other way around, which I'm actually going to do here. Like that. And just as long as they're all clipped into place, it should be secure. If they're not, some people will use a lighter to kind of melt the plastic a little bit to fuse them together, or a little bit of super glue. I usually don't have issues with this particular type of washer, but if you want just like a little extra security, there you go. I'm gonna now take my needle that I already have threaded. We're gonna go at the body. To sew it on, you're gonna wanna make sure the tail feathers is sticking straight up. So otherwise you're gonna have a weird wonky look chicken. So straight up, and then to where this magic circle is from the first time we worked, in line with the outer tail, you're gonna go in from the side and then out of the bottom of that circle. See that? Tail feather sticking out, side, bottom. And then pull our yarn through. And then you're gonna go through the center hoop here, grabbing both of those stitches right there. through like that. And then out of that central hoop, we're going to go through the magic circle on the opposite side. And then through the side of the head. And then from here, just go through the holes and one stitch. It should all line up pretty naturally to where we want to sit. And just continue to sew it on. Once you have all but just a couple stitches left to sew on, go ahead and take some of your stuffing, just a very small amount to put up inside the head. As you're putting it in there, make sure you're not accidentally pushing the eyes into a weird wonky direction. The stuffing can force them to go in weird ways. Just make sure everything is aligned where you want it to be. I have that stuffed about how I want it. I'm going to just continue doing my stitches until it is completely closed. Right. Now that I have all the stitches closed, you're just going to go ahead and tie off your thread just with a little basic knot, and then you can lose the excess tail inside the body, or you can take it through the body and then cut it so you don't have that extra tail lying around. Just like that. And then if you have just like a little tuft sticking out like that, if you squeeze the body, it'll retreat back in there. Just like that. Alright, you have the base of a chicken. This is my favorite part of the chicken because it looks kind of stupid. Actually, it kind of looks like a seal on this one. Maybe my next pattern will be a seal. But there we have our base body of the chicken. Next we are going to make the beak. Make the beak, we're going to want to take our nice golden yarn, pull out a little length of it, and we're going to do another magic circle. So loop it around, through, under, over, grab and pull through, use the tail. Alright, now that we're here, we have our magic circle, we're going to do 4 stitches in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, pull it tight. And now, because there's so few stitches, you're going to have to coax it into position by kind of guiding the yarn around on itself. And then we're going to do slip stitch right into here, our first stitch. So instead of doing single crochet, pull the yarn through all the way, coax the yarn into position, make sure it's all nice and tight. And that's it. That's our beak. Very simple. Cut enough tail that we can sew it onto the face with. Pull it all the way out. And then what I like to do is start with the tail that's coming out of the magic circle, not the one that we just used. Thread our needle. And you're going to go into the face with that one all the way through, wherever it feels appropriate. So I've got a nice little hole here. I'm going to go into that hole at the other side. And I'm just going to pull all the way through. And that way, because it's the center of that magic circle coming out, I have that already nice and in line with where I want it to go, so that I can sew around the stitches to make sure the rest of it falls nicely into place. I've got mine sewn on, same as before. Tie a very simple knot, and then lose the tail at the other side. Make sure it's all positioned how I want it. Super cute, right? Okay, I'm gonna cut my excess tails. Get rid of them. Same as before, if you squeeze the body, those tails will retreat inside, as long as they're only sticking out just a little bit. Just like that. And final thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make his little mohawk. I forgot what it's called. Like a waddle, I think? I don't know. So to make the waddle, we're gonna start by making a slip knot at the end of our red yarn. To make a slip knot, I just like to wrap it around one finger, cross it over, pull it off, and then take the longer end and push it through. So I've essentially tied a little knot around itself. It's a slip knot because it can slip right out. Stick our hook, wait, no, we're gonna stick our hook into the body first. So following from between the eyes, we're gonna go into this outer edge and then out the center of our magic circle that makes the top of the head. Shove it through. Depending, I accidentally made that magic circle a little bit too tight, so it takes a little force, but there we go. And then we're gonna go into our slip knot that we made and pull that slip knot tight around the hook. Send the tail one way so that it doesn't get in our way. And then we're gonna pull the slip knot out through that hole that we made. And then we are going to chain 2. 1, 2, just like that. Then we're gonna do a half double crochet into that back hump that's right at the edge of the head. So same as we did before when we were making the tail feathers, you loop the yarn around the hook, go through that little hump, grab the yarn, you'll have 3 loops now, pull your yarn through all 3, just like that. And then you're gonna slip stitch through that same spot that you've already come out of in the body. Do a slip stitch, so grab it and pull it through all the way, just like that. See? And then we're gonna go down 1 stitch in line with the body to follow where the mohawk wants to go. So we're gonna go in through the same hole we came out of, that magic circle, the center of it, straight down the back, now that side, grab the yarn, pull it through, and do a single crochet. Just like that. Might take a little wiggling if, like me, you made your magic circle a little bit too tight. Chain 2, half double crochet to this first back hump, and then slip stitch back to the body. Just like that. And then 1 single crochet, continuing to follow that line down the back. Single crochet, just like that. Chain 2, half double crochet, and then slip stitch. And that's the mohawk. So we're gonna go ahead and cut our tail and pull it all the way through. And that's already pretty secure. If you want it to be even more secure, you can find where it's coming out. See where it's coming out? Loop through and basically pull that thread through one more time, and it essentially makes just a little knot there. So we have our 3 cute little, I'm pretty sure it's called a waddle. Just like that. And now we just have to get rid of our tails. I'm gonna stick my, it's easy with the thread being this short if I stick the needle in preemptively and then thread it through. Loose it out the body. Same with the other one. All right. And you have a cute little chicken. I'm really pleased with how these came out as well. I am really loving doing this YouTube journey of coming up with little micro crochet patterns. It's not micro crochet, coming up with tiny crochet patterns that just little critters. If you make one of your own, please do consider sharing it with me. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I do my best to answer. They're little mohawks. I got a little family now. They're so cute. Alright, anyway, thanks for watching. As you can see, I've had a little teaser in the background here. My next video is going to be teaching how to make this little chonksters. I think he's cute too. I think they're all cute. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.